podcast.
We continue our meditation on some Advent themes from the book of Gemma, Simonds, Donkey Roads and Camel Tracks, a Pilgrim's Guide for Advent. The title of today's Gospel could be Making the Journey. This is wonderful, if quirky, scene to imagine. The awkwardness of the climb with the stretcher and its human burden in tow, the taking apart of the roof, the wrath of the householder, the precarious swinging of the stretcher on its ropes as it is lowered by the man's friends. Above all, it is a story of faith, hope and love. The man's faith and hope are part of the faith and hope of his friends. The man's faith and hope are part of the faith and hope of his friends. They cannot exist separately from one another and are proof of their love and the power of friendship. Faith is simultaneously deeply private but essentially communal. We worship in our hearts, but also within the faith community, where our faith and also our doubts and hesitations pulled together can become something life-giving. When we are baptized, and let us think it through in this Advent, we are baptized into a new mode of being human, becoming a new person in Christ, for whom the usual social categories no longer exist. St. Paul tells us that when we are in Christ, we can no longer identify ourselves in the first instance as Jew or Gentile, slave or free, male or female. Galatians chapter 3 verse 28. These were the primary categories of social differentiation in his time, which pointed to an automatic sense of ascending or descending value in the human person. But the liberating message, and this is the liberating message repeated in our Advent, is that this liberating message brought to us by a baby born so poor that he was a homeless refugee lying in a kettle after his birth amid the messy chaos, smell and dirt of a stable. So the liberating message is that each of us has the supreme value of being made in God's own image, irrespective of our circumstances. Whenever Jesus meets someone who has truly taken in that they are a child of God, seeking and doing the Father's will, whatever their origin, he recognizes them as a sister or brother. Let this message be our healing in this Advent. That whenever we recognize ourselves truly as a child of God, Jesus responds to us as sisters and brothers. And back to our Gospel reading. Having strengthened by this Advent message, we can reflect on the theme of healing from a very personal perspective. Take time to imagine this Gospel scene in all its practical details, experiencing the feelings and reactions of any or all in the scene. What do you most notice? Second question is, are there any particular heroes of faith, hope and love who have inspired you on your journey as a Christian? What is it in these people that you most admire? And the third question, related to the scene of healing in the Gospel, is very personal, but it really brings us close to Christ. Many of us have prayed for the healing of those we love, only for our prayer apparently not to be granted. When we prayed for someone for recovery who in the end died, is there anything in this Advent you want to say to Jesus about this? What do you imagine? What do you hear in your prayer that he wants to say back? Take time for a conversation, or just to hold out your deep needs and desires before him.